Today, we are learning all about facial proportions. What you will need is a piece of paper, a pencil, and an eraser, and we'll get started right away. The first thing I'm doing is drawing an oval for the shape that the face is going to be. Faces can be such a vast variety of organic shapes, but generally they're all sort of oval shaped. So that's what we're starting with today, is a sort of oval shape. And I would advise that you keep your lines much lighter than I'm keeping mine, and you can see when I started out, the lines are much lighter when I first start, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing, and that's why my lines are so dark. The next thing, what I'm doing right here, is dividing the face into quadrants. That vertical line represents the symmetrical sides of the face, the right and the left side, and then here you can see I'm doing some informal measuring with my fingers to find the center horizontally on the face. And what this line is going to become is the eye line. You might be thinking to yourself, that is very low. Why are the eyes in the center of the face? But that's actually where they sit on a real person's face. And the next thing I'm doing is finding on the right side, where is the center point of the eye line? This measurement that I just made is going to be the size of the eye. I'm doing it again because that was very fast. So center of the right side of the face, where's that point? And then that distance, center to center line, that's the distance of the eye corner to corner. Watch that part of the video as many times as you need, but that is how I found that measurement. And then I took that measurement and I put the same distance between the eyes and took that measurement and put the same distance for the next eye. So I found one measurement and used it 3 times. So corner to corner on the eye, same distance between the eyes, same distance for the next eye. Moving on, I'm dropping some lines down from the center corners of the eye. These lines are some more measurements, and that's where the sides of the nose are going to sit on the face. And then I'm actually bringing some measurements out a little bit wider to show you that a person's nose can be wider than those 2 sets of measurements. Some people have wider noses, and there's nothing wrong with that. But those guidelines down there, that's going to be the nose later on. The next thing I'm hopping up and doing is filling in the space for the eye. We did all the work to measure it out. All you do is make a rainbow arch for the top and a rainbow arch for the bottom of the eye. And you will notice that the arch for the top of the eye is a bit taller than the arch for the bottom. So notice that that arch for the top of the eye is further away from that center line. And generally speaking, that's how people's eyes are shaped. And hopping on down to those second set of measurements we made, sides of the nose kind of look like parentheses. So decide between those measurements that I made earlier, so from the corner of the eye out to the center, where are the sides of your nose going to sit? And then after you have that, fill in the center of the nose with this smile shape, and then add a little hook on either side for the nostrils. If you feel like I'm going very fast on the facial features, it's because I made a video last week outlining exactly how the facial features are laid out and really going slowly and explaining it several times. But today's video is about proportions, so we're taking those features and putting them in the right places. The next feature I'm moving down to, you might be able to guess, is the mouth. So somewhere between the bottom of the nose and the chin, I would say about halfway or a little higher, like I made it a little higher here, is going to be the part between the lips, the line between the lips. And then those lines I dropped down from the center of the eyes, that's the distance across how long that line should be. So the center part of the lips is between the bottom of the chin and the nose, about halfway up that distance, or a little higher. And then after you have that line, go ahead and add the top lip and the bottom lip. And again, if you're saying this is all very fast, back up and watch last week's video, do a little practice with drawing just facial features before you come back and try to do the proportions. And I'm hopping back up to the eyes now. I am defining the corners of the eyes where that pink little muscle is, and where the bump is from that muscle on the outside of the eye, and then defining where the eyelid's going to be on my person. From person to person, the eyelid can be very, very different. This is just a generalized version of what this person's eyelids are going to look like. Just like, really, this whole video is a generalized version of how proportions work. And then I'm adding the circle for the colored part of the eye, which is called the iris. And a reminder from last week's video, this iris is a perfect circle, but unless the eye is open really, really wide, you can't see the top of the circle because the eyelid covers it up. And then hopping straight over to our last feature, which is the ear. The ear, it can be so many different sizes, but generally it's going to be about where the top of the eyelid is to about where the bottom of the nose is, and maybe a little bit smaller. Then I'm filling in this measurement with my ear shape, which I've decided to make sort of a smashed butterfly wing is what I'm going to call that shape. Same thing on both sides. And then on the right side, I went ahead and defined some more of the landmarks of the ear, we'll call them. Ears are many, many different shapes, so I'm not going to get too much into it today, but generally that's kind of what an ear can look like. And then these lines I'm drawing between the eyes are going to become the bridge of the nose. The bridge of the nose really is much more defined by shadows, which you'll see later in the video. And then hopping in with some eyebrows, which are above the eye, as you may have guessed. Eyebrows can be such a variety of thicknesses and widths and lengths that there's no specific rule for what your eyebrows need to look like, but generally they're going to have an arch that goes up and they're going to be above the eye. So go ahead and give that a try. And then this is the neck. You might be saying again, that neck is very thick. Your neck is almost the same width as the bottom part of your head. Kind of feel where your neck is. It's not crazy skinny. It's not so much smaller than the bottom part of the head. So that's why the neck might be looking a little strange to you. That's actually the proportion that people's necks are. And then, should you feel up to the challenge, I went ahead and added a little bit of hair to this person. I think that I've decided I'm going to go ahead and make a whole other video about hair, because hair is something that you can't really generalize. There are so many different types and textures of hair. I talked about two in this video, and you're going to see that in just a moment. On the right side, I went ahead and added a more straight texture of hair, and it's pretty long. And then you'll see in just a moment that on the left side, I went for a much curlier and denser texture of hair. But like I said, there are so many kinds of hair that I'm not going to sit here for 20 more minutes and explain. Not even every single type of hair, because I don't think one person could explain that in one video. But here are two very general, very different kinds of hair that you could add to your person should you feel like it. So the left side, where we're at right now, I made a much denser texture of hair, and it's much shorter. And you can kind of see the difference for yourself between those two textures of hair. And then what I just sped through was me erasing all my guidelines on the face. This week, there are things in this video that I really sped through because I want you to feel free to try them if you would like. Like, for example, I am adding the start of some shading to this face. And you can try that if you're feeling up to it. But what this assignment is for this week is to practice facial proportions. Don't worry about hair. Don't worry about making it look like a specific person. You just want it to look like a person, a human person. That is your goal for this week, to make a drawing that looks like it could be a real person. The shading is extra. The hair is extra. You're focusing on the proportions of the facial features, which means the size that they are in relationship to the whole face and in relationship to each other. So the distance between the features is really what we're focusing on this week. Watch the video as many times as you need to. Back up, pause, watch it again. You're focusing on the distance between and the size of the facial features.